So in the Assign Domain to Field window here, the input table that we're going to assign this stuff to, or those domains to, is going to be inside of our geodatabase, and you can move this window out of the way. Open up Base Map, and then scroll all the way down to the P's, and Plant Center is going to be our input table, so you can click that, drag it in there. And alternatively, you can hit the folder icon here and browse for it in a separate window if you don't have the screen real estate to do it. Okay, the field name we're going to use. For this particular one, we want to use, we'll start with the scientific name field. So you can select that from the list. And then it asks which domain do you want to assign to it. And we're going to want to assign our scientific name East Asian. And then it asks which subtypes do you want to assign these domains to. And basically this means that when you're, say, collecting data about a tree, do you want that scientific name list to come up as the same way as you would if you were collecting a shrub? And yeah, we do. We want these names to come up for all of these different types. So go ahead and select OK, or select all, and then hit OK. And as with the previous tools, the work is being done in the background. It doesn't look like it's reporting as it did last time that it's running. But we know that it's doing it, and it will pop up a message as it finishes. Oh, there it goes. Now it's showing us some info about it. Wait for it. And any minute now. And of course, if you have an older computer, this is going to take a little bit longer. Any day now? Coming? Alright, there we go. So now, if we want to validate that that worked, scroll down to the Plant Center's feature class, right click and get the properties. And then go to the Fields tab. Scroll down to the scientific name field. Actually, better yet, let's go to the Subtypes tab and make sure that it worked for every subtype. So now, scroll down to scientific name here, and you can see that scientific name East Asian is assigned for the unknown subtype. If we click on 3 for lichenous, which is probably something you're not collecting data on, but you could if you really wanted to. Scroll down to scientific name, and there it is again. So that we know that that domain is now assigned, and anytime we're collecting data out in the field, we're going to be able to pick the scientific name from a drop-down list. Okay, so hit OK to close that window, and we're going to run that tool one more time and assign the source succession number domain to the Plant Center's feature class. So now you can, again, select Plant Center, drag it into the input table field, and then from the field name box, you can click the drop down, and we're going to do source succession number this time, just toward the top of the list. And the domain we're going to assign to it is the source succession number domain. And not seeing it, it's in here somewhere. There we go, source succession number East Asian. And we're going to select all the subtypes again and hit OK. And this tool is probably going to take about the same amount of time to run and get the job done as it did before. So the work that we're doing here is actually kind of modifying the data model a little bit and making it work for our particular needs. And this process of creating domains is a really useful trick, especially if you want to control the quality of the data that's being collected out in the field. If you're going to be sending someone other than yourself out there, maybe someone who doesn't know plants that well, giving them a list of values to select from is always a good idea. And again, this tool can take some time to run. Okay, now that it's done, we're just going to go through and make sure that it actually worked correctly again. So scroll down to Plant Center, Properties, Subtypes tab, Source Succession Number. You should see in the domain field here that a source succession number domain has been assigned to it. And it's always a good idea to click on another subtype and see that it's also done that. Alright, so we're all set here. We can close out this window, and we're done in our catalog. So we're going to finish this segment up and close our catalog. Now that we've gone through and created some drop-down lists for data collection in the field, we're one step closer to being ready to go out there. And a big part of getting ready to collect data is really planning out how things are going to go, planning out where you're going to collect your data. And if you're using GPS to do it, making sure that the GPS satellites are going to be available and that you're going to be getting good accurate signal while you're out there. There's always times of the day when there's kind of what we call satellite blackouts, when you're not getting enough signals from different satellites to be able to get a good signal to accurately collect data. So what we're going to do to figure that out and to see if we're going to have good satellite coverage while we're out there is we're going to open a web browser, and we're going to go to Trimble's website. Trimble is one of the leading manufacturers of GPS equipment. Go to www.trimble.com. Hit OK. And when you get there, just go ahead in the search box here and type setup plan. You can see I've already typed it before. Press enter. And under the searches here, click on Trimble Planning Software Download. And then click on the Setup Planning 2.8 file here and download this. And you can just go ahead and hit run if you'd like. Depending on which web browser you're using, you may have to deal with this file a little differently. But essentially what we're going to do is just run the file and install it on our computer. It's a little planning program that essentially can figure out where the satellites are going to be in the sky depending on your location, and kind of produce some charts that show you their position and the relative accuracy you'll be getting at a given time. Okay, so this is just about done downloading for me here. And if things go well, it should open and we can install it on our computer. Okay, I'm going to hit yes here. Select your language, hit OK. Okay, when it gets to the actual install screen here, hit next. And just install it in the default location. Hit next. And then hit install. Alright. When it's all done, it gets to the final screen, hit finish. And then you can close your web browser. And now if you go down to your start menu, go to all programs here. There should be a Trimble Office program group. Go into that and then open the planning part under utilities, the planning program. And I always like it maximized. The first thing you want to do once this is open is we're going to change our reference station. You can see it defaults to Munich, Germany. That's not exactly accurate for us. So go down to station. And you can either choose your own particular station, but that is good for you. But I recommend following along with what I'm doing right now. Click on the city button here, and then scroll down. I'm in Davis, California, which is closest to Sacramento, so that's the big city I'm going to look for on this list. Went a little bit too far. And nope, almost there. There we go. I think there's two Sacramentos. We'll just go with the first one and hit select. And it puts in the latitude and longitude of Sacramento for me and some predetermined values. Go ahead and hit OK. And now at the top it says we're in Sacramento. That's good. And there's a couple different little graphs here that we can look at that are kind of interesting. This first one here is for elevation. There's one for number of satellites. This is always a good one to know. If you click on this, it brings up satellite visibility for us, and essentially you need a minimum of 4 satellites to get a really good signal. So you can see that as time goes on throughout the day here, that we are definitely going to have that 4. But just because there's 4 in the sky doesn't mean you're always going to be getting them. There may be trees in the way, buildings, other things like that that are keeping them from connecting to your receiver. So a higher number is better, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of different satellites today. So you can close that window. And then the most important one to look at, I think, is this one called DOP. And DOP stands for dilution of precision. So this is really the estimated accuracy of sorts that you're going to be getting when you're out there. So click on that, and it brings up a chart showing you what the estimated accuracies are going to be throughout the day. And we have a cutoff in the software of 6, basically saying that a dilution of precision any worse than that is not ideal. So as you can see, we don't get anywhere close to 6, although there are some spikes in the data as the day goes on, and they get a little bit high at a couple times. So it may be good to note these times and be prepared to kind of maybe take a break at that point while things get better, while satellites rearrange themselves in the sky. So keep these in mind, and if you ever see one of these spikes that goes up over 6, you're going to know that you're going to need to take a break at that point, and allow for the satellites to get back into a good position for things to go. And there's different kinds of dilutional precision. There's one for geometry, there's one for position, which is and then there's one for vertical and one for horizontal. Basically, just look at the highest spike, and that's the easiest way to do it. And there's a lot of different concepts to learn about GPS, and Trimble has some great resources for you to check out about that. And their website's a really good place to start. But essentially, this is what you need to look for is the dilution of precision for planning. Okay, so that's all we're going to do with this program. So you can go ahead and hit close. And that'll be it for this segment.